VSiN, the sports betting network.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Good Wednesday morning to you. It is a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV. However you're taking us in, we appreciate it. It's Gill Alexander on this Christmas morning. Hope Santa has all the gifts you want. It's Festivus. It's Hanukkah. I feel like an airing of the grievances is coming, by the way. First thing this morning for Festivus. We'll get to that momentarily. On the show today, and thank you for being up. Thank you for having us part of your Christmas morning. Carl Sack from killersports.com. Great database of sports handicapping. He will be on to give his plays for the big quintuple header in the NBA today, plus some Week 17 thoughts in the National Football League as well. We will review our NFL adjusted season win totals that I made throughout the season. Mixed results, a little better than not, but we'll review where we are on those because they're still pending in some cases. JVT kind enough to wake up with us on this Christmas morning to give his thoughts on a big NBA slate today. Jason Weingarten as well. And then towards the end of the show, one of the remaining 44 people, 45 entries, but one of the remaining 44 people still alive and Circa survivor, Jake Bensequin, who's a co-founder, happens to be a co-founder of Profit X, what he is picking on this standalone Christmas and next day after Christmas 3-game standalone week, in quotes, if you will, for Circa Survivor, where every entry right at this moment, with the deadline of submission 3 hours away, every entry right now worth over $300,000. But this is moving day. Today and tomorrow, moving day, because there is no comfortable pick among the 2 games today and the game tomorrow, even though the Baltimore spread has gone up to 6, which we'll talk about momentarily. But that's the story there. So Jake will join us in studio here a bit later on the show. First thing, yesterday, we lost on the Hawaii Bowl. Christmas Eve, we had San Jose State. I gave out San Jose State on the show yesterday. The Spartans lose in 5 overtimes, 5 of them. We probably got the worst of this. This was a bad luck loss. Yes, they gave up a kickoff return for a touchdown. That's never anticipated. But the biggest play of this game is early when San Jose State is matriculating the ball down the field. They get to the goal line, and the dreaded fumble through the end zone. Right as the player for the Spartans was about to score the touchdown, the dreaded knock the ball out of his hands, and the fumble hits the ball hits the pylon before it hits anything else. And so the ball goes to the opponent. And this is, again, one of these things where I say it all the time. It is the worst rule in sports. I am not doing this based on the result, based on who I had. I've been consistent about this through the years on the show. The fumble through the end zone, let's air the grievances. Anybody who disagrees with this, please let me know. But I'm just telling you, it's the worst rule in sports because it is adjudicated completely differently than anything in the playing field, right? If you fumble the ball out of bounds in the playing field, you still retain possession. But apparently in football, they decided that if you do it at the pylon or through the end zone, that the entire game should flip, that possession should change. Now, I'm an advocate of punishing the offensive team, send them back to the 15-yard line, send them back to the 20-yard line. But the fact that the entire game flips, unless you are in favor of some defensive get-out-of-jail-free card in football, okay, that I can buy because you've decided that you want that. Maybe you think the offense gets so many advantages as is. Maybe the defense should have a get-out-of-free jail card. But in truth, there is no logic to this whatsoever. We've had this debate on this show many times before, and I'm steadfast on this. The defense did not recover the fumble. Let's start there. You didn't recover it. So what you are doing is you are rewarding them. And by the way, people say, one of the arguments against is, well, the offense is lunging. They should know to protect the ball. They shouldn't be so stupid. Okay, well, now you're making a judgment that they're all that. They're not all that. I could also say, well, then I'm going to make the judgment that they were matriculating the ball all the way down the field, right to the cusp of the goal line, and you are then dealing them the harshest punishment possible for what could only be the most success to that point on any given drive, that they've marched it all the way down to the goal line. So you can't make subjective analysis like that. What I'm saying is the defense didn't recover the ball, and just by knocking it out and the ball happening to then carom forward, you want to give the defense an entire get-out-of-jail-free card. It's the worst rule in sports. That's the first airing of grievances on Festivus. I stand by that. San Jose State loses, we lose the bet. And by the way, when it goes my way, I'll be honest with you, I feel dirty. Not that kind of dirty. A dirty where I need to take a shower. So we lose that. The other airing of grievances, I want to say this because I didn't bring this up. This has nothing to do with sports. But this came up briefly on the show yesterday, but then somebody was tweeting at me yesterday about this. The whole non-sports argument about the movie Die Hard, people who are saying this is a Christmas movie. Since we're airing grievances here on this Festivus morning, I just want to say this. Stop with the Die Hard is a Christmas movie while I'm at it here before we move on to the NFL, since I'm in grievance mode. Here's how I know Die Hard was not a Christmas movie. I was alive when it came out. I went to see it in a theater. Do you know what month I went to see that in the theater? July, a humid July night in D.C. It's not a Christmas movie. If you think it's a Christmas movie, you are basically telling the creators of this film, hey guys, you know your movie that you put out in July? It's a Christmas movie. Just because some morning zoo guy 30 years later decided to start this argument and you bought it, stop it with that. And while we're at it, Trading Places, released in June, also not a Christmas movie. Okay. That's the end of Festivus. I think we've all agreed with this. NFL today, double header in the NFL on a Wednesday, Christmas Day, because the NFL is chazers. That means they're pigs. They want all the money they could possibly get. We actually had to do a megapod yesterday, which I believe a Tuesday megapod is the earliest ever megapod we've ever done. Can't get much earlier than that. It obviously ties it at most, but I think it's the first one we've ever done on Tuesday. Matt Brown, VSiN's own Matt Brown, was kind enough to join us with Todd Wishnev, Will Hill, and me. So all of that's at the Beating the Book podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts. We made all our picks for the week. It is a doubleheader with implications. It's an opponent swap from this past Saturday. Kansas City, who took down Houston, now is at Pittsburgh. Baltimore, who took down Pittsburgh, is now at Houston. Kansas City at Pittsburgh this morning. Again, the implications abound here with 2 weeks left in the NFL season. Real football, not just the survivor implications, but real football. Kansas City wins it once again. If they win this football game, and they are 2.5-point favorites here at Pittsburgh, they win this, they get 24 days of rest till their next meaningful football game, meaning Week 18 won't matter because they will have secured the number 1 seed. They will get a bye wild card week as the number 1 seed, the only team in a conference that gets a wild card round week bye. So that's the incentive for the Kansas City Chiefs. You can't really have a bigger one than that than to have the entire AFC playoffs again go through your home stadium. For Pittsburgh, there is motivation as well. Not in the same way, but just as big. Steelers right now control their own destiny in the AFC North. If they win out, they win that division, they'll get a home playoff game. However, if they lose this game to the Chiefs today, then Baltimore immediately controls their own destiny to win that same division. Baltimore playing right after them today at Houston. So big motivation for both of these teams. Joey Porter Jr. out for Pittsburgh, while defensive tackle Chris Jones, huge cog in the Kansas City Chiefs defensive wheel, he is questionable, but I don't know if you read the tea leaves, feels like he's not playing here. That's just me speculating, but questionable is how he's listed. It's a grade 2 level calf strain. No, pardon me, grade 1. If it were grade 2, he would absolutely sit. It's grade 1. You probably, even with all this on the line, I don't know if you play him and risk further injury, because calf strain can be tricky like that. Grade 2, it's absolutely a risk. Grade 1, as risky as one might surmise it could be with that kind of injury anyway. You just don't want to risk anything. Juwan Taylor, by the way, also questionable, the offensive tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. Justin Fields, questionable. Pickens is a go. Pickens is playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers today. Let's be clear about that. And, of course, the Chiefs also have Marquise Hollywood-Brown back for a second game. They will have Isaiah Pacheco ready to go as well today. So Chiefs have it good in that department anyway. Here's the deal. We're always looking for something else to say about these games that haven't been said already. One of the things we always talk about, Mike Tomlin's magic beans and how Pittsburgh manages to pull games out of their behind when other teams in the same situations otherwise might not. Let's go to turnovers this year. The Steelers, no team has generated more turnovers than Pittsburgh, 31. Their plus 17 turnover ratio through 15 games. Only Buffalo's is better at plus 20. And no team has more fumble recoveries than Pittsburgh at 15. Now, their fumble luck is a little better than average. It's not like outlandish fumble luck, but you just can't count on generating that many turnovers, and especially when you play a team that is very stingy with the football like the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City has only fumbled the ball away 6 times the entire year. That is tied for the 9th fewest in the NFL. And by the way, on the other side of the ball, Kansas City's fumble luck is the 3rd worst in the National Football League, 38.46%. So a lot of what Pittsburgh has done has been through turnover. It's given the offensive side of the ball short fields to work with. This is not exactly the matchup historically that you want in a team that is as stingy with the football as the Kansas City Chiefs. That's for sure. And Kansas City has only room to regress in terms of their fumble luck on the other side of things. So that's just something to keep in mind. Baltimore, Houston again. This is up to 6 in favor of the Ravens. Baltimore, again, waiting to see the Pittsburgh result. Not waiting, but obviously it's going to have implications. Again, if Pittsburgh loses, Baltimore has it on their racket for the AFC North. Lamar Jackson, 26-12-1 against the spread, against teams that are better than 500 during the regular season. He's 4-1 straight up on this kind of short rest when it's fewer than 6 days rest. By the way, DeMeco Ryans only has coached once on this kind of short rest, 6 days or less. That was a 21-13 loss to the Jets this past Halloween. And since moving Kyle Hamilton back to safety, the Ravens now in the top quarter of the league in DVOA against the pass over the last 6 weeks. Baltimore's got motivation. Houston kind of locked into the 4 seed. That could change between now and the end of the regular season. They already have the AFC South locked up. We shall see. Coming back with Carl Sack on the NBA and the NFL. That's next right here on A Numbers Game.
Here are 3 reasons ZYN is America's #1 nicotine pouch. We use food-grade ingredients. We have a wide selection of varieties. And they all come in 2 strengths. Find ZYN at a store near you.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Time. There's nothing more valuable. It's what drives everyone to make the most of every moment. We celebrate living large in the now. In a city where time disappears, we create experiences that electrify the soul and memories that will last forever. We go big, we go all night, and here, everyone is invited. So get loose and get loud.
This is Circa. You'll have the time of your life.
Have a very Merry Christmas. Follow the Money is back on Thursday. Jeff Siegel on the horses. Paul Charchian, fantasy football playoffs and player props. Steve Wiss with best bets in soccer. Follow the Money weekdays, 4 o'clock Eastern, right here on VSiN, the sports betting network. So, Paulie, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah, came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it, it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole 9, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's late night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
Game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Ready to take your tailgate to the next level? You got to try Sewell's Barbecue. Born from a backyard cookout in a mason jar of unforgettable flavor, Sewell's has become a southern favorite, delighting taste buds from Georgia to the Carolinas. From smoky ribs and mouth-watering wings to the perfect backyard burger, Sewell's turns every bite into a flavor-packed experience. Order now at SewellsBarbecueSauce.com. That's SEWELLS. BBQSauce.com. Flavor this good is just a click away. Got some Sewell's barbecue sauce on your Christmas. How about that? Gill Alexander, live from Circa Resort Casino here in downtown Las Vegas. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Let me just say this. To the Christmas list, the top 10 Christmas jams of all time list yesterday. Again, over 23,000 views. Everybody chiming in with their Christmas favorites. Love that. I'm listening to all of them, by the way. Thank you for all your suggestions for next year's list. And then to the annual Chinese restaurant tweet from last night, everybody tripping off that as well. Too many responses to read, but I appreciate all the feedback. This is from this morning. This is J-Rod. Have a great show, Gill. Iga had her first practice in Sydney. Tennis is almost back. Pump for 25. Yes, we are. Can't wait for that. Jessica Brand, loving the Gina Fiore interview from last week. She says, Gina is so awesome and sharp. Great storyteller, tremendous interview. Plus EV bets, card counting, and AP slots just hits me different. Can't fully explain it. Math beats the house edge long term because it's hard work and action. Never doubt the brain power of people. Jay Busy. Last two bowl games have been whatever that word is that you use to describe bat blank crazy. Looking forward to the show. Meshuggah is what you're looking for there. Let's see here. Mark Iwanashan. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Mark. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to the men who keep sports bettors sane as best they can with the edutainment they provide on their platforms. Appreciate that very much. Scott, New York Mess 16. Happy holidays, Gill. No better way to spend the pregame hours than with ANG. Oh, and Pony Boy Wonder, good shout on this if you're from the DMV. Says, it's my birthday today, so we go to Peking Gourmet in Falls Church, Virginia. Feels like you've had to have been there before. I have not. But my mom used to love Peking Gourmet in Falls Church, Virginia. And Kevin Ryan, about the bowl game last night. This is so true because we were texting about this too, Kevin. He says, Gill, how does the luck box named Steve Fezzik continue to do it? His release last night was over 66. Game has to get to overtime. Then he needs both teams to score touchdowns to get there. Of course that happens. It really is amazing with that guy. And I'll say it again. I said it on the Megapod. Steve Fezzik, one of the best sports bettors, right, in terms of like his mind being a mathematical one. He's an actuary by trade. Also the case, one of the luckiest sports bettors I've ever run into in my life. Probably the most lucky. It's just incredible how things get home for him. We should all be so lucky, by the way. We'll get to more tweets. I want to introduce, for the first time in a while, he's been on the show many times, but not for a while. He's worn many hats. He used to work with Dr. Bob. I'm not sure if he works with Bob anymore. I don't think he does. But both of us were reared on the knees of Dr. Bob when it came to handicapping sports, and he is maybe the greatest NBA handicapper I've ever met in my life. Moves lines, moves the market when he is in that mode. He now is the founder and works at killersports.com and also Killer Cappers as well. We'll get him to explain all of that. Killer Sports is this amazing database of sports that he's been working on. It's Carl Sack, everybody, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line, kind enough to join us on this Christmas morning. How you doing, Carl?
I'm doing well, Gill. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I don't know if I botched that intro or not, but could you explain to folks what is Killer Sports, what is Killer Cappers?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I want to rewind a little bit and talk about the fumble out of the end zone rule.
Yes, please.
I've got a feeling that in the next year or two they're going to change that. That really is a ridiculous rule.
Thank you very much.
What was the thing about Chinese food?
Oh, that for 2000, I put this tweet out every year. That for 2024 consecutive years, I want to send my respect to Chinese restaurants for keeping us tribesmen fed every Christmas Eve, because otherwise we don't have anything to eat. So
it's so ironic because we ordered Chinese food last night.
That's what most people were saying, that it's not just us; it's all Chinese food everywhere. Yeah, no, little shout out to Ping Pang Pong here at what is the is it Suncoast? No, it's a Gold Coast Casino here in Las Vegas.
Ming Dynasty in Denver.
There you go.
So Killer Sports is a website with a bunch of tools to help handicappers, basically. Matchup pages for all the upcoming games, database to do research, whether it's, trying to figure out if you've got a math model and you're trying to figure out what different variables are worth and do that fundamental analysis, or situational stuff. If you want to know how well the market values certain situations, it's a good website for doing research on for handicappers, and it's where I spend a lot of my time.
Does because your chops are as a basketball handicapper. How much of what you did basketball handicapping relied on this kind of thing? Because our buddy Bob, he's very honest about, he's got his math model, but then he's got his historical database. His was the Buckeye database that he relied on, which very few people actually have access to. He does. How much of what you did was based on historical data like this?
Oh, gosh. I would say the vast majority of it, and maybe 80% or so. You've got to figure out your math models, and that's a combination of using a database to say, okay, what is a bye week worth, or what is an unrested team? How do you quantify some of those things? But then also the situational stuff, and that's I think that's a lot of handicappers that had access to that Buckeye database. That's part of why they were so successful, I think, and we are one of only a couple that are available to the public.
All right, so Killer Sports, they go to killersports.com. Is that the best way to access?
Yeah.
Okay, and then Killer Cappers is what? Then it's just the picks that you guys are generating over there?
Yeah, it's a sister site where there's a handful of us that sharp guys that use Killer Sports and sell our picks over there as well.
Okay. Let's get to the Killer Cappers part of this for the NBA today. A quintuple header, 5 NBA games: Spurs, Knicks, T-Wolves, Mavs, Sixers, Celtics, Lakers, Warriors, and Nuggets, Suns today in the National Basketball Association. This used to be their day, right? They owned Christmas Day, and now the NFL is like, move over, Daddy's in town. We're taking over with 2 games. So I'm not sure if that will affect NBA ratings today, but nonetheless, betting opportunities. What did you land on today?
So the play that I like the most, unfortunately, is now gone. I was watching VSiN last night, and you're having JVT on later, and he mentioned it last night as well. And last night, this Golden State game was at 224.5. I wake up this morning, it's at 221.5. Unfortunately, I played the under here earlier in the week, but as far as what I think is the best thing on the board right now, given the information that we have, because there still are a lot of question marks on today's card as far as injuries go. We don't, Boston, we got Tatum, you got White, you've got Drew Holiday, all questionable. Go down the list, but if there's anything I'm going to bet right now, I think it would be the Denver Phoenix under. It's about 232.5. These two teams just played a couple of nights ago, and that one barely got over 200. Now, Murray didn't play in that game, and he may play in this game. But Booker's out, Allen's out. I don't think Grayson Allen's out. I don't think that that's being factored into this line quite enough. I normally, two teams that just play each other, this is where like a database comes in handy. You can situationally look and say, well, what happens when 2 teams just played each other 2 days ago or 3 days ago? That familiarity tends to lead to the under typically. And so I do think that the under 232.5 is worth a bet right now.
Under 232, I'm seeing 232 on the button right now. Denver Phoenix, that's the last of the 5 games tonight. Is there any season-long NBA thing you would bet right now, either a season win total, a future in a division, a conference, for the whole deal, anything like that?
Yeah, I usually don't get into these, but I was looking at some of them, some of the lines recently, and one that jumped out at me when I came on your show back in August during Bet Bash, I gave out Oklahoma City team total over. At that time, it was 56, I believe. It's now lined at 61.5. They started off great. but they're on pace right now to get to over 67, and they haven't been healthy. I think that people are dismissing. Holmgren's going to come back. He's going to come back in the next month or two. It's not going to be like, as far as I know, it's not going to be in like April. They've missed Caruso for a number of games. They missed Hartenstein for a number of games. I think that they're primed to get over 61.5 this year.
All right, we'll take that. So still 61, not high enough is what you're saying. Projected to get to 67, by the way. If they get to 67, that's one of the 25 or 30 best NBA seasons of all time. But a lot of room between 61 and that projection. So still an over. Had an over earlier, still an over. Carl continues with us. Week 17, based on history, next.
And they're off.
Sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup. Then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to vsin.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Want to become a sharper bettor this holiday season? VSiN has the ultimate gift for you or the sports bettor in your life. Right now, take advantage of our holiday special. Get VSiN Pro access to everything we offer through May 1st for just $79. Sign up now and get instant access to our daily best bets to help you cash more tickets, exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, 24/7 video access, plus all our betting guides and expert picks for the college football playoffs, Super Bowl, and March Madness. Everything you need to win big this season. Make this holiday season unforgettable, why don't you, with the gift of smarter betting. Head to VSiN.com/subscribe now and unwrap your winning edge today. It's Gill Alexander. We get tweets. Christmas morning, we still get tweets. All of the best. Bruce Dobiggin, working solo on Christmas Day. This is like Jimmy Stewart as Lindbergh, trying to keep himself awake in the spirit of St. Louis. Well done, my friend, for all the mornings this year that I get a laugh and money management to start the day. Thank you so much, Bruce. Happy holidays to you. Jason H11, happy Hanukkah. Gilly, thanks for doing a show today. Going for sushi today? I am not, but thanks for asking. Resist at Hillbilly88. He says, you make valid points about that fumble through the end zone, Gil, but no, just no, protect the effing ball. That's not really my point, but okay. Marcus Phillips 2.0. Just thought about you yesterday. Same Merry Christmas, Gil. Also for my beloved Todd Wishnev and Will Hill. And, of course, the Greek warrior god, Chrissy Andrews. He is a Greek warrior god, my mishpucha, Chrissy Andrews. Happy holidays to you, Marcus. Marcus tweeting us from Spain, from España. Scott, New York Mets 16. We'll ask this of Carl here momentarily. Says, are the Atlanta Hawks a bad play at 70-1 to win the East? We'll ask Carl that momentarily. And then this is from Joe C714. Happy holidays to both of you. Seriously, what's the meaning of Meshuggah? Crazy. Just crazy is what it means. Ryan Hyatt, happy holidays to you and the VSiN staff working hard today. Thanks for being out there. Thank you for chiming in as well. And then Bill Hooker mentioning the spot in Falls Church, Virginia. Peking Gourmet was the special occasion go-to spot for my wife and I. And for 20 years, it was a 40-minute drive from where we lived. Oh, it's an institution. And Jamie Leva, he pushes back on the Die Hard thing. He goes, listen, he says, I don't have anything on either side here. So I hope you have a great day, Gil. Does the entire plot taking place on Christmas Eve, does that count for anything in your book? Well, it is the crutch that they use to enhance the story. But really, is your first thought that it's a Christmas feel-good? No, it's a terrorist movie. Ladies and gentlemen, Carl Sack once again at Killer Sports, killersports.com. Killer Cappers as well, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. What about the Atlanta Hawks one there, 70-1 to win the East? Would you take a flyer on that?
So first of all, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
Thank you.
Could occur if it occurred on the 4th of July. It wouldn't. The premise of the plot wouldn't really change.
That's right.
You know, as far as the Atlanta Hawks go, I think if you're betting them on a 70-1 ticket to win the East, you're basically betting that they're going to do some kind of a blockbuster trade and something really is going to change with that team. Now, they're playing decent ball, don't get me wrong. They started off the season really struggling. They were having depth issues. Bogey was out, Hunter was out, and they're starting to put it together. But no, unless a lot of other teams have a lot of other injuries or they make a massive trade, I wouldn't get involved in that.
Yeah, and thank you, by the way, for taking my side on both the fumble through the end zone and the Die Hard thing being a Christmas movie.
I just agree.
I thank you. Yes, you just agree. We didn't plan this in advance. All right, let's go to the NFL. Obviously, a doubleheader today. Kansas City at Pittsburgh is the early game. Starts at 10 a.m. Eastern. 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Let me not get people riled up about that. But it's coming up in 2.5 hours. And then it is the Ravens at the Texans, which could be a preview of a wild card matchup between the Ravens and Texans. That is, if the Ravens don't pass the Steelers in the AFC North, and if Houston is locked in ultimately to the number 4 position. So there's a lot of ifs there, but it could be. Baltimore up to a 6-point favorite here. You have some thoughts on this and some numbers.
Yeah, so we talked about the differentiation between fundamental analysis and technical analysis. I don't personally I have a math model for NFL, but I do follow it, and we do have a lot of situational stuff at Killer Sports. A couple of angles that apply in this game. The first one is Teams that won by more than 3 points in their last game while running the ball at least 35 times and throwing the ball less than 25 times. 497 and 400 to the under. And so it's basically 56% unders. And I think that this angle makes sense because it's basically saying, all right, this team just won by being run heavy. So why would they do something different? Let's keep doing what works. And as you know, running typically correlates with the clock running and unders. A related angle is teams who have outrushed their opponent in back-to-back games. The under is 344 and 285, which is 55%. Both of these apply to Baltimore. They've been running the ball very well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them take a run-heavy approach here and see this game go under. Now, like I said, I don't have a math model that runs the numbers, and so I don't know if this 47 is fair, but I would be looking towards the under in this game.
Yeah, and we are not typically here on a numbers game, a trends show, but I think you spell it out right, because I always put the caveat in. I'm like, but if it makes sense intuitively, if there's logic to it, then I'm all ears. Like, let me know. I'd like to have that in my handicapping toolkit. And what you were describing just there about the Ravens makes complete sense. Let's go to tomorrow because, again, we have Jake Benziquin coming on. He's a Survivor contestant. There's 44 people left in the $14 million plus Circa Survivor contest, 45 entries left. One of the games they have to choose a team from, because Christmas and tomorrow stand, these three stand as a week unto itself. What about the Seahawks and Bears tomorrow? What do you have on that?
Oh, man. Yeah, I feel bad for the Survivor contestants right now. I think I'd have a heart attack if I had a ticket.
Believe me, they do every 5 minutes. It's so bad.
Gosh. I did it a few years ago, and I was just like, I can't do this. This is not good for my health. So unfortunately, I don't have anything to contribute as far as the side goes in the Seattle-Chicago game tomorrow, but do have a couple of situational things on the total. Teams that, and these statistics are from the history of our database, which goes back to 1989. So it's not cherry picking, the last month or something. Teams that have allowed at least 100 points in their last 3 games combined. The under is basically 58% on 500 games. I think the logic there is that, that basically means they're giving up over 33 points a game. Chicago's been giving up a lot of points. It basically says, okay, this team is going to focus on defense. You got to think that their game plan is, oh my gosh, we're getting torched on defense. We've got to stop the other team, focus on defense. Another trend or situation that applies here is when you have a matchup of 2 teams that had a negative turnover margin. Both teams had a multiple negative, so like -2 or more in their last game. The under then, again, similar 57%, 500 games. And I think that the logic there is when you turn the ball over a lot, I think teams tend to get conservative. They're like, okay, let's just not turn the ball over. Let's play it safe. Don't throw an interception. Don't, just kind of play it safe. And so, those are 2 things that would point towards a conservative game plan in that game.
Okay, let's go to Sunday. Let's get one more before you get out of here. This is one.
Sure.
I'm on Washington. The money has gone against me. Atlanta has taken money. We've had a couple folks on the show who like Atlanta plus the points. It's 4. We're in favor of Washington at home Sunday night. Washington trying to clinch a playoff berth. What are your thoughts on this?
So this is a tough one, and I can see the argument on both sides. I mean, you've got a rookie quarterback making his first road start, right? But there's a lot of situational stuff that applies that suggests playing against Washington here is a good idea. Their game that they played against Philly last week, man, that was a back and forth game. They put everything into it. They won it right at the end. This is a division sandwich game. They've got Dallas next. There's a couple of trends. Let's see here. Play against teams off an upset win in a division sandwich game. That's 56% blind over the last 35 years. And that applies to Washington. They're off an upset win. Similarly, play against winning teams that are off a win as a home dog. That's 59%. And if that win was in a division game, it jumps to 66%. So like you can see how, I mean, they really wanted that game last week and they got it. So you can see how there could be this kind of exhale coming into this week.
Very interesting. I am bucking all of that, but now it gives me pause, of course. I don't love hearing that, but I'm sticking with Washington, but very well understood. This kind of stuff, not just in the NFL, but in the NBA, tennis. I'm looking forward to talking to you about tennis historical stuff as well.
Yeah, we got tennis data.
Carl, Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Happy holidays. Thanks for having me on.
You too. Carl Sack, Killer Sports, KillerCappers.com. Adjusted win totals next.
Got a good thing coming. Just wait and see. It's a good.
You spoke, we listened. Introducing the all-new VSiN Watch app. Now, you can watch and listen to VSiN expert analysis live wherever you are. Missed a show? No problem. Catch replays of VSiN's full lineup at any time. View highlights sorted by sport. Or use the search feature to find specific teams and topics you're looking for. And the best part? It's free for a limited time. Download the VSiN Watch app today. Available now on the App Store and Google Play. And join us on the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Are you the kind of player who wants to drop $10,000 or more at an NFL line at the best price in the market? Or maybe you're looking for instant acceptance on your in-game bets? You need Sport Trade, the app that's revolutionizing sports betting. With minus 104 lines instead of the standard minus 110, instant in-game betting, and a dedicated concierge player service, Sport Trade delivers a premium betting experience like no other. Now, live in New Jersey, Colorado, Iowa, Arizona, and Virginia. Download Sport Trade today. Use code VSiN to earn 10% cash back on every wager during your first week. Terms apply. Got to be 21 years or older to play. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Always appreciate the feedback from everybody, even on a Christmas morning. Love you guys. This is from, let's see, Mile High David. Says DraftKings has the Thunder to win 70-plus games at 25-1. Oh, man. Mile High David, I appreciate that, letting us know about that. There's a prop there. DK has the Oklahoma City Thunder to win 70-plus at 25-1. Now, keep in mind, there's only been twice in the history of the NBA that anybody's gotten to 70 wins. The Golden State Warriors, 73-9. In the year 2016, when they famously botched the 3-1 lead over the Cavaliers in the NBA Finals, and, of course, the 72-10 Bulls. So I would need a little more than 25-1 on the 70-plus, especially in the age of load management. My goodness. James Sott, happy holidays and Christmas to the ANG gang for the best show in the game. Thank you, James. Appreciate that. Fred Courier, thanks for being on today. Still trying to figure out, quote, scumbaggery, unquote. That's how Todd Wishnev described the Green Bay Packers' behavior at the end of their game against the Saints on Monday night. He objected to the fact that Matt LaFleur and company, with Malik Willis in the game, decided to throw deep on 4th and 2 at the 40 in plus territory, up 27-0 in that game. So he referred to it as that. Limited everywhere. Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. Are we crushing potato latkes tonight? I wish you all the best in the new year. I wish I were crushing potato latkes. There's a phrase I didn't expect to come on the show today. I wish I was, but not tonight. This is from C. Spackler. Bah humbug. Die Hard, yes. Fumble through the end zone, absolutely a Christmas miracle. Happy Hanukkah. I'm not sure I understood the run-on sentences there. Maybe you're disagreeing with me. I don't know. And then Charlie D says, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Starts off on Christmas Eve in the middle of a company Christmas party, holiday bowl games. Now I have a machine gun, ho, ho, ho. Well, again, for those of us of a certain age, again, I watched it in the movie theater in July. So you're telling the people who made the movie that it's a Christmas movie, even though they did not intend it to be such. Here's what I would like to talk about. I will say this about Die Hard. Die Hard, one of my favorite movies of all time. In my entire life, and by the way, I've probably seen one movie in a theater in the last 5 years since the pandemic. But there have only been 3 movies in my life where you attended it in the theater, where it was the crowd in the theater was so loud at a given moment that you could not hear the dialogue on the actual screen. Die Hard was one of those. It was pandemonium seeing that in the theater with a full house, because Die Hard did not get a lot of hype when it came out. Bruce Willis was a TV actor. He was doing this movie. People did not expect it to be as awesome as it was, so people were going nuts at every twist and turn in Die Hard. The other two, Fatal Attraction with Michael Douglas and Glenn Close, people might remember if you were in the theater watching that so many years ago. That was so loud you couldn't hear the dialogue at one point. And then Something About Mary with Cameron Diaz and Ben Stiller. You may remember that scene in the bathroom where Ben Stiller turns and then you see stuff on his ear. Those 3. So Die Hard qualifies for that small group of so much mayhem in the theater, you cannot actually hear what's happening on screen. Which brings us, with no artful segue, to our review of our adjusted season win totals this year in the National Football League.
Are the guys looking over or under? It's another edition of Win Total Wednesday on A Numbers Game.
Yes, it is. You know, adjusted season win totals are hard, but hiring Morgan & Morgan is easy. If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They have over 100 offices nationwide and more than 1,000 lawyers. Submitting an injury claim with Morgan & Morgan is so easy. If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Morgan FOR-bestbets or dial pound law. That's pound 529 from your cell phone. That's FORthepeople.com/bestbets or pound law, pound 529 from your celly. This is a paid advertisement. People still say celly anymore? I don't know what they do. I don't know how they came out of it. It's Gill Alexander. This is a review of our Kelly and I for much of the NFL season when we would do this Morgan & Morgan sponsored segment. We wouldn't do it every week, but from time to time during the NFL season, we would dive into the adjusted season win totals market. And again, let me just say this. The advent of adjusted season win totals, the fact that they are available now and people take them for granted every single week of the NFL season. Now we're only 2 weeks away from the end, so it's really not readily available anymore. But for the majority of the NFL season, this is the last 4 years advent in sports betting. Before then, I used to talk about on both this show, on Numbers Game, and on the podcast, on the Beating the Book podcast, even back to the Betting Dork, that my most favorite betting vehicle, I used to call it, was this stock market-like thing I was involved in. It actually originated at Lehman Brothers. The folks at Lehman Brothers said it was the most participated in thing that they ever did at Lehman Brothers before it was shut down. They did adjusted season win totals because it wasn't available in any other form, in any legal or illegal market, really, to be honest with you. And they would do it with stock prices, a buy price and a sell price. It was awesome. It was an incredible thing. And those guys, they knew how to make markets. So it was really tough. Finally, about 4 years ago, adjusted season win totals appeared in legalized sports betting operators. So it was just fantastic. And so we've done this. Kelly and I did. Now, we looked for Kelly's. I don't think we found Kelly's listed how he's done. Usually I do very well on this. This is a bit choppy this year, I'll be honest with you. These are listed in chronological order. The space indicates sort of we did 5 at the beginning, we did 3, and then we did 2, and then we did another 2, and finally the last 2 of this group of 9, just in terms of chronology of when they were made. Right now it's 3 and 2 graded with 4 pending. So the ones that I hit on, Jaguars under 6.5, that's easy peasy. Jaguars are 3 and 12. They ain't getting to no 6.5. That's a winner. Commanders over 9.5. Laid some minus 160 juice on that. That's a winner because they're already 10 and 5. And the Bears under 7.5 plus 115. Man, do I wish I had bet that multiple times. The Bears, of course, 4 and 11. Started the season 4 and 2, and have lost 9 in a row. Survivor. Some folks might have them in Survivor tomorrow. We'll see. So the Bears, that's a winner. The losses, Steelers under 9.5. I hate you, Mike Tomlin. By the way, Mike Tomlin, try not to punt when you're down 14 in the fourth quarter today for a third consecutive week. Steelers under 9.5 is a loser because the Steelers have already won 10, and the Niners over 9.5. Boy, was that a bad one. They're 6 and 9. They're not getting to 9.5. That's a loser. So it's 3 and 2 graded. Here are the ones pending for me. The Dolphins under 7.5. That is likely to lose. Dolphins have 7 wins right now. They're a favorite this week against Cleveland. That is likely to lose. That would make it 3 and 3. Of course, if they lost twice in a row here at the end. They have 2 really easy games, so that's likely to lose. Only way I can win that is if they went 0 and 2. That is unlikely. Commanders over 11.5. Commanders would have to go 2 and 0 for me to win that at even money. I got friskier with the Commanders. Already hit the 9.5. Look to hit the 11.5 as well. They would have to beat the Falcons this week and then win in Week 18 at Dallas. It remains to be seen if that Week 18 game will matter for Washington in terms of seeding. So we'll see. Possible can win that. Maybe, maybe not. Steelers under 10.5. The Steelers would have to lose their final 2 games. That is possible for me to cash that. The under 10.5 at plus 130. And the Browns under 4.5. That's looking good. The Browns would have to win twice for me to lose that. So what are we talking about? 3 and 2 right now. If you gave me the 5 and 4 right now, I would probably take it for what ends up being really a wash. But again, the point of us doing this is that typically one does very well in adjusted season win totals by some schedule analysis. So typically, if I did 9, a 6 and 3 or a 7 and 2 would not be out of the possibility. So here we're probably doing as bad as possible, and you're still treading water. So again, good on the books for including adjusted season win totals in their offerings, something that every book does now. But when it first started, you may remember when Kelly, Matt, and I were doing primetime action, from that Lehman Brothers experience, books didn't quite know how to adjust them initially. The Broncos were a 8.5 pre-flop season win total. They won a game week 1. This is back in 2020 or 2021. They beat the Giants early in the season. I think the first game, a game that they were favored to win. And books adjusted their season win total from 8.5 to 11.5. If you could believe that. And it was like, oh my God, this is a complete under. And of course it went under. They've gotten more sophisticated than then. Those things only last for a moment in time. But adjusted season win totals, about as good of a in-season betting vehicle. I still say adjusted season win totals pre-flop are the greatest thing. But in-season, about as good as it gets. JVT with his thoughts on the NBA and NFL Week 17 on the other side. Numbers Game, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
And we're out.
Okay, give me 1 sec. I need to load funds into my gaming apps.
Stormy.